transferring my front and my back pattern, which I will be drafting for you guys sometime this month if you're really interested in seeing it. The guidelines are basically lines that you have to slash depending on the design and the fit of the dress. So I will be drawing everything in with my pencil first, and then I'll go in with my felt pen. So I'm dividing my shoulder line in two. I'm marking the center point. Then I'll connect that to my bust point. So I'm marking my slash lines, which are about 1 inch apart. Then I will draw those lines. So the thing about that band is it has to be exactly on the same length, on the same level rather, with the front. The back and the front band have to be on the same level because they connect at the side and you don't want it to be off. I will cut off my band for my front and my band for my back. The band is 1.5 inches wide. So I'm spreading everything that I slashed by 1 inch, and I'm drawing a new center front line and trimming off any excess beyond that center front line. Slash your waist dart and close the waist dart. I will be using this miniature measurements to draft a skirt pattern for you guys. I will also be showing you guys how I drafted my skirt pattern. Sometime in this month I will show you guys And it might come on the same day as the bodice pattern. Okay, at the center front, go down by 3 inches. At your side, go down by 1.5 inch. At that center front, go down again by 1.5 inch, and then the side, go down again by 1.5 inch. So now you're gonna have 2 lines to connect, the first top and the second. So the first one is gonna be your yoke. On that second line, from your center front, go in by 2 inches and draw a straight line from that point to the length of the skirt, and label your parts, the parts of your skirt. You're going to have 3 parts of this skirt: part 1, part 2, part 3. And then cut out the pieces of your skirt. This isn't my actual measurement. I'm not that small. I wish. So I'm taking away that part 1 because I'm not going to be doing anything to it. I'm not making any changes to it. My part 2 though, I will stick it to a new piece of paper, and then at the length of that skirt, at the hem of the skirt, I will go forward by 2.5 inches and backwards by 2.5 inches and connect it to the center front. Now, if you want your flare to be a lot flairer, that is not an actual word. I don't think it is. But if you want that flare to really flare, then instead of doing 2.5 inches, just do like 5 on each side, because I think Marilyn's was like really flared. So for my part 3, I'm drawing a slash line, and they're about 1/2 inch apart from each other. And then I'm cutting that line to my side seam, but I'm not cutting through my side seam. And I'm gluing that to a new piece of paper as well. So spread it by about 1/2 inch or about 1 inch. So I'm notching my hip line on my part 2 and on my part 3, because eventually when I fold or gather that slash, everything has to fit exactly where that hip line is. It cannot go beyond the hip line. This is my part 1, part 2, and part 3. And TikTok guy. So this is me cutting the actual life size. Like I told you guys, I already filmed this, but somehow I lost it on my laptop. I hate this laptop. Somebody get me a new laptop, please. So I've cut out all my pieces. And at my center front, I will gather my the part that I slashed. If you guys remember that part. You're supposed to notch something though. You're supposed to notch the very beginning of that slash line and the very end where you stopped slashing, so that you know exactly where to gather. And so because I wanted my waist to be a little cinched, I took in my darts, because after trying it on, I realized that it was a little freer than I wanted it to be. So instead of trimming my side seams, it's usually best to just go in and take your dart in somewhere. either at the armhole or the waistline. So I cut out two straps that are about 2 inches wide, 2 inches on fold. So if you open it up, it's 4 inches, but 2 inches wide, and then 20 inches long. And then I cut out my band for my front and my back. For your front band, you want to have 2, and then for the back band, you want to have 2. And so the reason you have 2 is because you're going to sandwich your straps in between those bands. So after pinning down my straps on one band, I am sandwiching the straps by placing the other band on top of it and pinning it as well. Also, you want to iron a fusible web onto your band so that it's stiff and not flimsy. So whatever bands and straps you cut out, or whatever bands and straps I cut out, I put in a fusible web so that my straps and my bands are sturdy and stiff and just not flimsy. So once I'm done stitching, I will go ahead and trim. But as you can see, I already baste stitched it. So now I'm going to my sewing machine and I'm permanently stitching that down. Actually, this entire dress was made by hand. Before I went to my sewing machine, I stitched every single thing by hand because I had to make sure, it's a complicated design. I had to make sure that I liked it first before actually stitching it. And so when you hand stitch something, it's easier to take it out than when you permanently stitch it with your sewing machine. Anyways, so I ironed my straps and my band flat. Now I will sandwich my top in between my front band. And I will also be hand sewing this, except I am going to be stitching it in such a way that the thread doesn't show. So I am stitching it right on that edge. The thread can't show, so I have to make sure that I'm catching the back band, the center piece, which is the top that we're sandwiching, and the front band. To make sure you catch every single thing and the thread can't show. So I use my hand to stitch my part 1, part 2, and part 3. And for your part 3 has 2 parts. Part 3 has 2 separate parts for each side of your thigh. The only thing you're cutting on fold on your skirt is the first part and the second part. Part 3 is not cut on fold. I'm going to stitch my top to my skirt at the waistline. So for my back band, I will cut my 2 pieces into 2 again, so that I have 4 pieces, and then I will sandwich my back between those 2 pieces of bands. So I will first of all go in and stitch my back darts first, because that's important. You have to do that. Now I will sandwich my back between those 2 straps. And take off that basting stitch. So for my skirt, I will go in by about 1 centimeter, and I'm going down by I think 6 inches for my back dart. And now I'm going to be using my hand to sew that dart, because this fabric is really, it's like I said, I have to make sure that it's perfect. I mean, I am recreating Marilyn Monroe's dress. I have to make sure it's perfect. So everything was hand stitched, like I said, every single thing, before I went down to permanently stitch it. So now I'm joining my back top to my skirt, and I'm making sure my dart at the top matches the dart at the skirt. It has to be exactly perfectly aligned. So after stitching that, I went and I put in my zipper, and this is where I'm going to offer a quick apology. I really want to apologize for not having this video. So all I had to do was join it at the side seam. So go join your front with the back at the side seam, and then make sure your strap goes all the way to the point where you want it to be. And that's the end of this tutorial. I really hope you guys enjoyed it.